Who's gonna start off top 5 architectural achievements?
This one, the deer crossing sign. Oh,
I'll start.
Here. The deer crossing sign that has a little penis.
That's pretty funny, actually.
You've never seen one of those?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
whatever.
My top 5 architectural achievements, I did this strictly off my own personal feelings. Number 5
That's good.
is the Rams Stadium. The new stadium they built in LA, because it is crazy. It was like $5.5 billion. It's crazy looking. They still never had a fan inside, but they spent a lot of money on it. But it is actually incredible. It's gorgeous, and it's just a better version of Jerry World. At any rate, number 4, the World Trade Centers, because they were like this monumental achievement at the time. They were, I think, when they were built, they were the tallest buildings in the world. Maybe, I think that's right. But there was 2 of them. And they were kind of a staple of like the American landscape, and then obviously their history since has become kind of crazy. I guess that's an understatement. Number 3, the Brooklyn Bridge. Brooklyn Bridge, pretty big deal when it was first built. It was like the architectural achievement of the world at the time that it was first built. And it was here in America, which is cool. Number 2, Stonehenge, because I guess we figured out how they did it now, but just the fact that no one really knew for so long is kind of wild. And then number 1 is the pyramids, because aliens? I don't know, but it is pretty incredible. However, they built the pyramids, that they did it. This is my list.
Very nice. I guess this is the part where Paul hops in, but maybe not. Midnight Mark, you want to go?
No, Midnight Mark, go.
All right. So I took
I need to tell you to
mine
do everything.
just based on, like, I don't know, some sort of significance, right? Actually, I just took the first 5 things that popped in my head that are kind of cool, right? So number 5, the Colosseum. Because, like, this thing looks like a stadium that's built today. And it's still in relatively good shape, you know? Like, people still base certain things off of the way that they use that structure. And there really isn't any
Like
other,
the half
like,
that's
major...
still there?
Yeah. Like,
All right.
it was like people used it for a long time as like, oh, this is like a great sports structure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I mean, obviously Jerry World isn't like, oh, this is like the Colosseum. But, like, you know what I'm saying. So it's a pretty great achievement. And there could have been more of those or something like that, but they're not, like, around. So that's what's cool about it. The fact that it's still up. That's number 5. Number 4 is similar, like, first kind of like, so the home insurance building. It was the first multi-level, like, skyscraper that was ever built. It was 16 stories. It was only up for 31 years, but it was basically the base of the steel frame skyscrapers that people use to basically build, like, New York. Which bleeds into my number 3, which is the Empire State Building.
Was it built in Chicago?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The home insurance building. It was built in Chicago, and it was the first, like, skyscraper, right? But that's where the steel frame, like, they used that structure, even though it didn't stand as long, because it was built in 1851. So it even predates the Eiffel Tower, which was the tallest building. So that was going to be it, but then I decided to go with the first, like, major steel frame skyscraper, which bleeds into the Empire State Building, which was built in the 30s, and is still, you know, just a landmark of the United States. It was incredible the way that they built it at the time. and for a long time was the tallest tower that people worked in. I mean, obviously, it's not. I don't even think even close anymore. But for I think until the Sears Tower was made, was the tallest like office type building. And then my number 2 is the pyramids, because how is it not the pyramids? We still to this day don't even really know how they were made. Like, we can speculate. There's a lot of people that think they know, but they don't really know. I mean, obviously we could make them with our modern technology, but they think they were built by like people making bricks and filling a thing with water, and like there was like a thing to level it off, but they're not necessarily sure if that's a way. So it's really neat because they're still standing. They're hundreds and thousands of years old, or however old they are. Like what? They're like 3,000 years old, 4,000? I don't know. Like they predate Jesus, right? So, I mean, it's pretty dope. And then number 1, you can see it from space. It's the Great Wall of China. Because the thing is just massive.
That's factually incorrect.
It's awesome. Why?
If it's a cloudy day, you can't see it.
I'm just saying, you can see it.
No, you can't actually see it from space.
That's what I was told, and I believe it.
I know.
I like to believe that.
I know that you were told.
How do
that,
you know
but
you
it's not
can't?
true.
How do you know you
Dude.
can't? Have you been?
Have you been to space? The real question is, has anyone been to space?
Exactly. So how do you know you can't see it from space? If space isn't even real.
Yeah, the Earth is flat, bro.
The Earth is flat, man.
Whoa.
But yeah, I mean, the Great Wall of China is number 1. I mean, for like architectural achievements,
I mean, it's not, but that's fine.
it is. Come on
It
now.
has nothing on Trump's border wall.
That thing gets blown over by a hurricane.
All right, whatever. Well, the pyramids I had as number 1, so we can flip them and you guys can stop hating me. So, anyways, Piano Man.
I mean,
All right.
regardless of if you can see it from space, China's wall is incredible.
Yeah,
All right,
know.
as tonight's
that's why it's
host,
on my list.
I want to pass it over to Preacher Paul. Oh wait, no, never mind. I'll go. So mine is kind of a list of both engineering and architectural achievements. So you'll probably understand it when I go into my number 5, which is the Roman aqueducts, because they had the cool arches and just so it had cool architecture, but it also had a really cool system and design to allow water to flow. Like, they were able to get access to clean water. It was like one of a kind. And then it also, I think, disposed of unclean water at the same time. My number 4, hometown flavor here. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The retractable roof has 3 huge steel plates that it opens like a, I don't know, it opens outward like I don't know how to describe it, but imagine 3 things that are triangular rotating to open. It's pretty cool. I know they couldn't get it to work for like the first 10 games, Falcons games that they played there, because they couldn't get the motors that were big enough to move the steel because they were so heavy, the 3 plates. My number 3 is another Chinese architecture phenomenon, and it was from the last Olympics in China. That was the Bird's Nest Stadium. Do y'all remember that? Oh, is that Paul's?
Paul's phone is ringing. What a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy.
Mute him.
I can't. He's the host.
Oh, no.
All right, this is a lot of fun. My number 3.
Wait, hold on. While we're doing this, let's talk
Can
about
you just
Mercedes
wait
Benz.
and
I looked
edit
up
this
Mercedes Benz.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just doing it. We could just redo this, but I looked up Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think it's more than 3 plates. It looks like, but
Really?
it opens super cool.
Yeah.
It looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like 8,
Okay.
but it is super cool the way. I mean, assuming that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
but
it probably is.
It looks really.
It's
It
like
looks
a spiral.
like one of those. Yeah, it looks like a soccer stadium from like Europe, kind of. I don't know. They always have weird
Okay.
tops. I feel like
Gotcha.
maybe not.
Um,
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. All right, my number 3 is the Chinese Bird's Nest Stadium from the last Olympics that they built. Like they used a ton of steel and they just made it look really cool. I think it's like the coolest looking stadium ever.
I actually almost put that on my list before I thought of the Colosseum because that thing is just so awesome.
Yeah, super cool. My number 2, also on every other person's list, because how could it not be, is the pyramids. You're talking about like millions of these stones that are like 15 tons each and like precisely made. It doesn't make any sense. Think about it. Think about having 2 million stones that are 15 tons each that you stack on each other. Like, what in the world? Why and how? You know? It's crazy.
Think about
Especially
having
then.
2 million Jews to move them around.
Is that even true?
I have no idea.
I mean, if you think about when scientists like date them, some of them fall into when the captivity would have been around. So yeah, and I mean, in Exodus, that's like what Pharaoh did. He's like ramp up the brick making, you know. So like, what else are they making bricks for?
Yeah.
Of course.
So then my number 1 is the Hoover Dam, because it is just insane. It might be more of like a civil engineering accomplishment than like architectural, but still, it just looks. What does architecture really mean, you know? So I think it looks really cool, even though it's just a flat piece of concrete. I still think it looks cool. So that's my number 1.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
You know what else is it? I mean, it doesn't really make it a cool architectural achievement, but since we're trying to kill a little time here with our host absent, Arizona's football stadium. Have you guys ever seen how they do like their field? So they have a grass, like an actual grass field, but it's a retractable roof thing. But they have an actual grass field that literally they can pull out of the stadium. And they let it sit in the sun so that it has like the elements, and then they push it back inside.
What?
It's crazy. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like they showed like a time lapse of it a couple of years ago during one of the games where like it takes like 3 hours for it to come back inside, but it's on these like giant tracks. It's
Dude, what-
super weird.
It like pushes
But-
it up, like to the roof.
No. It pushes it out. Like it slides out, like underneath all the seating and stuff. It goes outside,
Oh.
and then they like so it can have real grass, and then they bring it back in. It's super weird.
So
cool.
one of my other, because I was gonna do this as a technicality, was like architectural achievements. I was gonna say the Twin Towers, because they were the first building to like implode on themselves as a steel structure. So it's an architectural achievement.
That is pretty impressive. World Trade Center 7 just collapsing all by
Well,
itself.
I also like the thing where the Pentagon like blew a hole into itself, like with no plane. That's like another really cool one.
But it's not like nothing happened. I mean,
And
there
our
was
next
a
guest,
missile that
Marjorie
went in.
Taylor Greene.
So should we just go to the next question
Yeah.
about beards being popular or no?